Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into one of the most famous and, let's be real, widely debated philosophies out there. We're breaking down Rhonda Byrne's massive phenomenon, the secret. Our goal today is to map out exactly how this book claims we can literally shape our physical reality just through our mindset.
Right out of the gate, the source material hits us with a wild statistic. Just 1% of the world's population earns a staggering 96% of all the money. And the text insists this isn't just luck or coincidence. It claims this top 1% has figured out a hidden, tightly guarded secret that dictates the flow of success.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is exactly how we're breaking down this esoteric concept today. First, revealing the great secret. Second, the law of attraction. Third, ask, believe, and receive. Fourth, the power of visualization. Fifth, wealth, health, and relationships. And finally, creating your own reality.
Section 1. Revealing the Great Secret. A historical phenomenon. So the book kicks off with the premise that this secret actually isn't new at all. The author claims some of history's absolute heaviest hitters, people like Buddha, Shakespeare, and Sir Isaac Newton, fundamentally understood and used this exact knowledge to achieve greatness, all while keeping it hidden from the rest of the world.
Moving right along to Section 2, the law of attraction, the magnetic power of thought. So what exactly is this big secret they supposedly knew? Well, it all boils down to the law of attraction. As we get into this section, I want you to think of this as the journey of a thought. The book describes your thoughts not just as, fleeting imagination, but as a literal magnetic force reaching out into the universe.
Here is the book's core definition. The law of attraction is a universal natural law, stating that like things attract like things. Simply put, you attract whatever you think about the most. And the text is super firm on this. It argues this law is just as exact, impartial, and infallible as the law of gravity. It doesn't care if you're a good person or a bad person, it just acts based on what you're thinking. Which brings us to the absolute foundational formula of the whole philosophy. Thoughts become objects. I really urge you to say that to yourself for a second. Thoughts become objects. The author argues that your thoughts are real, tangible things, and they are actively pulling matching physical circumstances and objects right into your daily life. You know when you fixate on a bad event in the morning and then your whole day just seems to completely unravel? Well, according to the text, that's the law in action. Focusing on the unwanted, like piling bills or your deepest fears, literally attracts more of those exact things to you. But if you completely shift your focus to wanted things, you become a magnet for positive outcomes. Section 3. Ask, believe, and receive. The 3-step process. This is where we move from abstract philosophy to the actual, tangible procedure the book gives us for harnessing this magnetic power to get what you want out of life. Here is the exact methodology they map out. Step 1 is ask. You have to clarify and write down exactly what you want. The book literally tells you to act like you're flipping through a cosmic catalog and simply placing an order. Step 2 is believe. You need absolute faith that it's already yours right now without stressing over how it's going to arrive. And step 3 is receive. You actually have to physically and mentally feel the positive emotions of having that thing right at this very moment. And a massive part of this process is taking inspired action. The book states, the universe loves speed. Don't delay, don't think twice, don't doubt. When you feel a sudden inspiration, you're supposed to act on it immediately. It's kind of like driving across the country at night. Your headlights only illuminate the next 200 feet, right? But you trust that the next 200 feet will continually reveal themselves all the way to your destination. Section 4. The power of visualization, seeing the end result. Let's talk about mental imagery, which the text highlights as a massive catalyst. Now, this isn't just about wishing for the future. The trick is to focus strictly on the end result, building a super sensory-rich mental image of your goal, as if it's playing out in your life right this second. To back this up, the source shares this wildly fascinating anecdote about a guy named John Assaraf. Back in 1995, John made a vision board and pinned a picture of his absolute dream house right in the center. Over the next 5 years, he moves to 3 different cities. Fast forward to the year 2000, he opens a boxed-up vision board in his brand-new California home and realizes, no way, he had unknowingly bought the exact house from his 5-year-old vision board? Pretty crazy, right?
Section 5. Wealth, health, and relationships, applying the secret to life's hurdles. All right, we've reached the real climax of the explainer,
the book claims you can apply these steps to conquer life's biggest hurdles: money, sickness, and bad relationships. Let's see exactly how.
When it comes to wealth, the source argues you're either blocking or allowing money strictly based on your mindset. So the first thing you have to do is ditch phrases like "I can't afford it." That traps you in a scarcity mindset. Instead, the book tells you to act almost like a parrot, just repeating, "I can't afford it," and "I am a magnet of wealth." By forcing this abundance mindset, you supposedly shift your frequency and unblock the flow of money.
Applying this methodology to relationships, the book talks a lot about the idea of the internal mirror. It argues that how others treat you is just a reflection of your own internal thoughts. So to attract good relationships, you have to constantly broadcast signals of self-love and respect. You've got to focus on your own good qualities, and, this is absolutely crucial, you have to focus on the strengths of others rather than their weaknesses.
When tackling health, the text leans heavily on a very real medical phenomenon, the placebo effect. You know, when a fake medicine like a sugar pill actually yields real healing just because the patient firmly believes they're taking real medicine? The book uses this as its primary evidence to claim that the human mind and our belief systems are literally the biggest factors in physical treatment and healing. Because of that belief-body connection, the text strongly advises against constantly talking about your illnesses. The claim is that complaining about being sick actively generates more sick cells in your body because you're intensely focusing on the negative. Instead, the book tells readers to repeatedly use this exact quote, "I feel wonderful," to basically prompt your body into healing itself.
Section 6. Creating your own reality. Writing your life's purpose. This brings us to the final stretch of our explainer. You might be wondering, what if you have a genuinely difficult past or childhood trauma? How does the source suggest you handle that while trying to maintain this strictly positive focus? Well, the text recommends a pretty intense strategy to overwrite those unwanted thoughts. It explicitly instructs you to completely let go of past difficulties and grudges. To rewrite that mental programming, the book suggests repeating positive phrases, again, like a parrot, saying things like, "I am happy, I am healthy," 50 to 100 times a day for 21 consecutive days. Yep, you heard that right, up to 100 times a day. This intense repetitive conditioning is what supposedly activates the universe's magic wand.
Ultimately, this brings us to the core philosophical takeaway of the source material. There is no blackboard in the sky with your life's mission written on it. The text is trying to empower you with the idea that there is no predestined fate. You are the sole author of your life's meaning, and your purpose is quite literally whatever you choose to focus on. Which leaves us with a final, thought-provoking question to reflect on as we wrap up this explainer. What are you choosing to attract today? If thoughts become objects, like the book claims, then your current focus is literally building your tomorrow. It's definitely something to chew on. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into The Secret, and keep learning, everyone.